days in China, Russian President Vladimir Putin continues to tell his stories as if he is not to blame for the war, as if someone is always forcing him to fight, kill, drive children into shelters, and send thousands of people to storm our positions. And now we see another buildup of Russian forces on some parts of the front. Of course we will respond to this. Respond asymmetrically as well, so that Russia definitely feels the consequences of its impudence. And we continue to work with partners to put pressure on Russia, and that will happen. Russia hears nothing but force and will lie until it suffers sufficiently heavy losses. All partners understand this. It is important that there is determination to act. Distinguished Prime Minister Robert Fico, Slovakia, as known, is both an EU and NATO member, which allows you to criticize their policies because they are your community, your family today, that I don't want to put you in a difficult situation and criticize NATO and the European Union. I would rather not compare them with reptiles or animals. They do not specialize in fairy tales, but in horror films. And what we are seeing now is a constant hysteria about Russia allegedly planning to attack Europe. I think, for sensible people, it's a clear provocation or complete incompetence, as any sensible person understands well that Russia never had, doesn't have, and never will have any desire to attack anyone. The Ukraine conflict, as I have mentioned multiple times, including during recent SCO sessions, is not related to our aggressive behavior. It is related to the fact that the West facilitated a coup d'etat in Ukraine. By the way, despite the fact that 3 leaders, Poland, France, and Germany, acted as guarantors of the agreement between the government and opposition in Ukraine in 2014, though a coup d'etat took place a couple of days later. And those who guaranteed the deal between the opposition and the president didn't lift a finger to bring the political process in Ukraine back to the constitutional track, but started supporting those who staged the coup. That's when the conflict erupted, because subsequently the situation unfolded in Crimea and the southeast of Ukraine, in Donbass. This is the essence of conflict. As for Russia, it was forced to protect its interests and people who linked their lives, their destiny with Russia, with our history and traditions. This is the essence of the conflict. This is where its reason lies. And it's not our aggressive behavior, but the aggressive behavior of the other party that we have no goals other than to defend our interests, as the other side of this coin is that through NATO there's an attempt to absorb practically the entire post-Soviet space. But we had to react to this. This is the whole problem. And our recent contacts with U.S. President Donald Trump and the U.S. administration in Anchorage showed that they listened to us. When we held talks with the previous administration, with former U.S. President Joe Biden, nobody wanted to listen to us, and nobody heard us. Now we see a mutual understanding. We are very glad about this and hope that this constructive dialogue will continue. Regarding Russia's aggressive plans towards Europe, I want to emphasize once more that this is complete nonsense, with absolutely no grounds.
Spoken with President Putin in the past week. Have you spoken with President Putin?
Yeah, I don't want to. I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out.
Will there be any consequences if there isn't some type of announcement of a meeting with President Putin and President Zelensky?
Yeah, there will be. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000 between the two countries. 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact. For no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but, you know, they're soldiers.
125 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.